I would be downtown daily, and I one day even counted the trucks. Right, we're talking hundreds, not thousands necessarily, but still tons of trucks. It was an intimidating thing, and it was like a big ongoing event that didn't just wrap up after a weekend like I think a lot of people thought it would.
Living in the area where all this was happening, the horns were wild.
Every day you were going down to write about it, but you really never saw light at the end of the tunnel.
It was absolutely unique, the entire experience.
This news event was different than other news events that we've covered in the past.
It took sort of breaking news to a whole other level. There's almost like a pre-convoy Ottawa, it felt like, and a post-convoy Ottawa.
It kind of shakes you up, actually, because they're just doing it. No one's doing anything about it. Is it okay to pull your truck up and unload, 30 jerry cans of fuel? Is it okay to roast a pig on the street? It was so discordant.
And I think we still feel those kind of repercussions throughout this past year, but also just how it's kind of impacted the psyche of the city, where every time there's a protest or there's just like collective, inhale of, oh, what's this going to be like? How is this going to develop? What is this going to look like? So yeah, so it's been kind of the issue that's ever since it ended, simmering in the background.
After the 2 years of the pandemic, a big part of this was just people getting together with others for the first time in a long time. It really struck me that was what people were looking for, was a sense of belonging.
I think it was one of the first times for me I felt that our reporters out on the streets were unsafe. They were being attacked through, in person, through social media, and that's not something that I don't think, have dealt with in the newsroom before.
It was tough to get people to talk to you. I think maybe that for a journalist was one of the tougher things. You did deal with this real antagonism because you were the mainstream media.
And there was a few people that I got quite a hostile reaction to. We're lucky as print reporters that we don't have TV cameras on our shoulders to draw attention. So it was easy to go under the radar.
I watched, TV cameras just being harassed and they couldn't make shots, and even in quite dangerous situations for journalists and camera people with broadcast.
Again, being in this neighborhood and hearing people talk about allegations of assault by protesters on other people, people saying they were yelled at for wearing masks and felt unsafe going out in masks, protesters saying that they were nervous of certain residents maybe fighting back against them. So really just not exactly a nice environment that you want to walk out into.
It was really, really tough to kind of cut through the noise.
It'd be tricky to fact check an ongoing news event that is moving as fast as this one did at times. So you really had to take everything kind of with a grain of salt and make sure that we were checking it against anything that we could to make sure that everything was true.
You do hope as a journalist to be able to cover these impactful events and tell people what's happening when it feels important, when it feels, like there are stakes here. And I think there was stakes during the Freedom Convoy process. And, we're seeing the effects of that now. It's going to be part of our discourse for a while yet, I'm sure, and going to be written in the history books.
It was a challenge, and it was an important story, and it was the most important story in Ottawa, Canada, and it was on the global news. So as a reporter, you kind of jump at the chance to be involved in a story like that and try and understand it and try and explain it. It's something that I'll never forget, and was glad to be a part of bringing that story to readers.
It's not a time we'll forget, at least not anytime soon. Definitely my memory will be impacted by living within the area while also watching this news event right outside my door.
I mean, the convoy hit close to home for me because we live so close to the downtown, but in some weird situations like this, in my job as a reporter, news was just happening on my doorstep all of a sudden too.
We didn't have the distance that a lot of other world events might have that happen over a period of time.
I don't want to navel gaze, but just impressed by the coverage by my colleagues at the Ottawa Citizen, Ottawa Sun, who are down there on the streets every day, our photojournalists who were right in there to document the images and the video of what was happening in very difficult circumstances.
It made me proud of the work that we've done, and it made me proud to work with reporters and photographers that did risk their safety and went out there and made sure that our town and country knew what was going on.
The work that we did, I'm so proud of it because I think we kept it focused on people of Ottawa and how they were impacted and what it meant for them.